Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. My name is KPZ. I'm your host on the home of the Slightly Above Average Ship Review. I had to take notes on this one. Alright, we are in the Bismarck at long last. The Tier 7 Tech Tree German battleship. At one point, maybe the most hated and infamous warship in the history of the world. You know, at the end of the day, folks, don't buy any of the tales. They did one of those, you know, they have some show where they scan the ship underwater using all the sonar and stuff and analyze the battle damage. They concluded the crew of the Bismarck scuttled the Bismarck because they didn't want it to be sunk. So they sunk it themselves. Interesting. I can't remember what the show is called. But it's on like the Nat Geo channel, I think, or something like that. Anyway, they explore the wreck and they show you how it's not damaged using computer simulations, all this other stuff. Anyway, we're on Trident, we're in the Bismarck. We are building it as a ranged build. My commander, I think his name is Franz Von Hipper. And I don't have my glasses, so I took some copious notes because basically the previous voiceover was just me laughing. Apologetically saying I can't see any of this stuff without my glasses. And I still don't have them, but I could see it a little bit better when I replayed the video for myself. Anyway, there's our first long-range salvo, besides the initial one at the Zeton, which didn't really hit anything. That really didn't do a ton of damage either. We're still not even at 10k damage. But I think that's going to illustrate to you what kind of grouping and dispersion to expect at range. We were shooting at a North Carolina, so not a heavily armored U.S. fast battleship. So he is just going to continue to give us pretty good angles. We're just going to focus on him. But the things besides the grouping and dispersion at range that I want you to pay attention to in this match is the ability of the AA to defend the Bismarck and the effectiveness of the secondaries with only a secondary inspiration on the commander build. There are no other secondary boosters, any of the mod slots or anything like that. So we have 9.4 kilometer secondaries, a 19.9 bay battery range, and a 4.5 range AA. So that's what we're dealing with here in the Bismarck, in this ranged build. And I'll be the first person to tell you, it may not be the best way to build the Bismarck, but since the Zeton came out and really excelled at secondaries and stuff like that, I really don't like building weaker versions of the same ship. I also really don't like building the exact same commander on each ship. There we do get a Citadel hit by aiming upwards at the North Carolina, and we take him out for our first kill. Just over 40k damage so far. Alright, and we've shot down some planes. We are going to get more airplanes coming at us very shortly. Here I notice our sister ship, the Tirpitz, is coming around the corner. One of the major differences between the Tirpitz and the Bismarck in this game, obviously, is that the Tirpitz has torpedoes and the Bismarck does not. Although I want to say I think I do use the same commander on my Tirpitz build as well, so be that as it may, we're going to try to stay out of torpedo position for the enemy commander. Now, seeing airplanes moved in on the minimap, I'm going to launch my fighter plane. Let me tell you, fighter plane on the ship, abject disappointment, and my recommendation is not to use the fighter plane. Okay, we'll talk about why later on. AA, you're able to defend yourself. We are shooting down planes that get near to the ship, but on the other hand, we just took an absolute raft of torpedoes, and so you're not going to be able to shoot them down before they launch, nor are you going to be able to kill them all as they fly away, like ships like the California or the Friesland or whatever do. So while your AA is good enough to defend yourself, it is not good enough to prevent you from being attacked and making the carrier commander choose a better target. So that is a vulnerability for the ship. All right, here we're going to aim at the bow plating of the Tirpitz. Pretty good grouping there, able to knock off a large chunk along with a cap defended flag. Our secondaries do set the turrets on fire. But we've got to give up a lot of broadside in order to get that good salvo out there. And here we got a pretty quick reload on our build. As he shoots at us, we're going to take a shot back at him and knock off another really big chunk. And there's the return fire that knocks off a pretty good slice of health. And I mean, that's to be expected, right? We turn on the sonar, his torpedoes were going where we used to be. We're going to start to angle away here. He is going to turn towards us, and in doing so, going to give us a really nice angle on that bow plate. And we take him out for our second kill. All right, getting this reload on. You know, with this build, folks, my reload is 21.6 seconds. So, you know, the Bismarck may not be a great range fighter, but I build it for reload. And so here you're going to see quick reload shots out on the Helena. Do get some hits there, not the hits I wanted to get. And we've got bigger problems because there is a Campagne, aka Champagne, right in front of us. So we're going to focus on the Champagne for now. And at this point, you look up at the scoreboard. You can see at the end of the day, it is about numbers. We have the only 2 kills for the blue team. There are only 3 ships left on the blue team. So at some point, there are going to be too many ships shooting at us for us to survive. And you know, in full disclosure, I did have better games than the Bismarck with more damage, more base XP, games that our team won. But I like this video because I think it illustrates some of the things you're going to have to deal with the Bismarck when you don't just do all secondaries and don't care about anything else. Again, like I said, I think the Zeton is so much better at secondaries, I wouldn't bother. Speaking of so much better, that salvo into the side of the Champagne was so much better than any other salvo I've shot today. He does knock out a turret. I hate to say it, folks, you'll see it in the armor viewer. These turrets are weak. They are weak. But we still have one going, and we're going to get some more shells out. Almost finish off the Champagne. If we had both turrets active at that salvo, I feel confident we would have knocked him out for our third kill. That being said, the numbers do catch up with us, and that is the end of the match. All right, here on the defeat screen, just over 127,000 total damage. Shot down 12 or so airplanes, couple of Citadel hits, couple of kills, couple of cap defended flags thrown in there. Secondary batteries, didn't get over 100 secondary battery hits. 309,000 and change silver and 2436 ship XP and commander XP. There we are at the top of the board, 1624 base XP and the loss. The best ship on the enemy team, you know what, 300 more base XP. So I think if our team had won this game, it would have been a pretty respectable box score here, but it just is what it is. Dealing with a lot of passive gameplay, a lot of players that apparently, look at this match, you know, do they know what they're doing? I don't know. You know, you're the only one on your team getting kills. We've had that before. Had that happen in my Udachi video, The Real Solo Warrior, where I'm the only guy in the team to kill anybody. I'm sure you watched that video. Anyway, we will go back into the port here and take a look at our build. Again, with the benefit of notes. Modifications, went with Aiming Systems Mod 1 for this ranged build. Damage Control System Mod 2. Concealment System Mod 1. And Main Battery Mod 3. Of course, the Bismarck is fully upgraded. Got a Frederick de Grosse video coming for you next week. Consumables, 3 charges of the repair party, 4 charges of the catapult fighter. Did not shoot down a single enemy aircraft with our fighter plane. I'm switching that to the spotter plane. And 2 charges of the sonar. Got the Epic Battle Booster here for main battery range. The mythical golden camouflage. And of course, the 2-year strong flag. Stats, 69,200 hit points and a 22% torpedo damage reduction with our build. Got those 4x2 380mm turrets, 19.9 kilometer firing range, reload 21.6 seconds. Kind of the focus of this build. 30.8 second turn time. HE shells just 4,400 damage with a 34% fire chance. AP shells 12,760 damage. 2 sets of secondaries, the range 9.4 kilometers. The first set reloads every 3.3 seconds, does 1,200 HE shell damage with a 5% fire chance. Second set of secondaries reloads every 7.5 seconds, does 1,700 HE shell damage with an 8% fire chance. Compared to the Zeton, those numbers aren't great, folks. Aaa Defense, just 4.5 kilometer range. I think you saw, yeah, I can shoot down airplanes. Can you prevent the enemy carrier from getting hits on you? No, you can't. So that number, as I've said, for all the battleships is deceiving in this line. Maneuverability, 28.7 knots, so it's not fast but not slow. 850 meter turning circle, 16.8 second rudder shift time. And concealment, 13.3 on the surface, 11.1 from the air, 14.1 when firing in smoke. Taking a look at the armor viewer, well, this is also disappointing for me. No turtleback on that Citadel. Here's where the real disappointment is. Look at this bow. You have an armor belt of just 60 millimeters going to the front of the ship. And then we're going to highlight the bow plating, and you can see just how small and below the waterline, at and below the waterline, that armor belt is. So what that's going to protect you against, I really don't know. You have a very weak torpedo belt here, torpedo plate down the side. Deep water torpedoes, in my opinion, are going to rip this ship apart. You do have a little bit of a heavy armor belt there, and that's going to continue up into the casemate armor when we put that on. Turrets and barbettes, another weak point. The barbettes are more heavily armored, that's good, but that gold paint on the turrets really matches the lack of depth of this armor plating here. The roof and sides of those turrets are extremely vulnerable to being knocked out. Putting in that casemate armor, you can see the armor belt continuing up the ship, and that blue stuff just catches on fire to HE spam. All right, here's the Commander Franz Von Hipper. Same build we've been using all the way up this line. D. Revell for reload, Haruna for secondaries. Base rate, also dealing with secondaries. This is a typical range build here. Flammable cannoneer, gyrating drill bits, marksmanship, reaching out XXL, and fight fire with fire. At the end of the day, when you are playing in the Bismarck, if you are playing it as a ranged build, you're more of a mid-range shooter, because at far ranges, you're going to see that dispersion and that shell grouping work against you. You don't have a ton of torpedo protection. You don't have effective AA enough to prevent being attacked from carrier planes. Your secondary range is great. However, that second set of secondaries has a longer reload compared to the Zeton. That's why I don't like playing this ship with a secondary build, because compared to the Zeton and compared to the Veneto and other ships, it's just not as good as that anymore. It's been power crept, and that is the Bismarck.